These type of questions annoy the shit out of me because you're basically telling me and signaling to me that you don't want to show up, you don't want to give it your all, and you don't want to do something great. And so great people don't vibe with that. That is actually a signal that we don't want to interact.
Adam Young was a person admired by many in the entrepreneurship space of the internet. He built his own company from nothing, flew around in private jets, surrounded himself with young, beautiful women, and cultivated an image eerily similar to the Playboy millionaire Dan Bilzerian.
You know, do the ratio then, it was like 300 girls and 30 guys or whatever, and we would have the masseuses and the mani-pedis and the champagne and all the.
You saw me out at a music festival this last weekend, and I was with 8 girls and a customer, and they know that I'm not willing to meet anybody.
And Adam could now be facing years behind bars. And this is a remarkable turn of events for someone who was once considered a child genius.
When I was really young, I was invited to a gifted program at the University of Michigan when I was 13 years old. And then the following year, after I graduated middle school, I was invited back to teach. So I lived in the dorms at the University of Michigan on North Campus in Bursley Hall. And I went to the Kane building, which is the computer-aided engineering and networking building, and taught people how to make software with C++, how to design 3D virtual worlds with 3D Studio Max. And they had a virtual reality cave, which was a bunch of projectors on the wall, and you put on this big headset thing. It was one of the first ones, and I would teach college kids in class how to design these worlds.
But things took a dark turn when he was brought back to regular school.
And then I came back to high school and literally fit in with nobody. Yeah. I had this incredible time hanging out with college kids. I met my first girlfriend there. It was almost like this crazy world that no one would ever believe. And then I come back to normal life as a freshman in college, and I had a gap between my teeth. I played the violin. I was a swimmer. I was a computer nerd, and I didn't fit in with anybody. And so you can only imagine the perfect target for someone to bully. And so I never wanted to go to school. And so I didn't. I would skip school constantly, and I would go back home to my parents' basement and go on the internet, and my grades suffered. I think the only reason they passed me is because they didn't want me there anymore when I graduated. But my GPA was so low, I didn't get into any of the schools, certainly not the University of Michigan, which was heartbreaking because I literally taught classes there.
So Adam was an incredibly gifted kid who was failed by the American schooling system, and instead of going to university, he was living in debt in his parents' basement.
And so, I really struggled. I was negative 50K in credit card debt and not making any money and commission only doing this. And I'd work for 12 hours, drive home, and then go to my parents' basement and try and make money on the internet until I pass out on this broken futon and wake up at 5 in the morning, do the whole thing over again. And I did that for nearly a year before I figured out how to make money on the internet.
Adam's escape route from his parents' basement came through affiliate marketing, which is when you earn commission through promoting or selling another company's product or service. Alongside his business partner, Harrison Geverts, Young built a highly successful click arbitrage company. And this is essentially when you buy click traffic at a lower price than the revenue made from those clicks. But one day, the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this business came crashing down.
Harrison and I were affiliates, and we had a very large campaign. We were doing 8 figures a year in revenue with a team of 4. And one day I walked out into my living room and had a whole bunch of screens. Obviously, you could tell I like screens, right? And it was monitoring all the click traffic, and they were just stopped. And I was hoping the internet was out, but it was not out. And I literally had a breakdown right then and there. We had spent 2 years building this business, but I had created nothing that I could sell, nothing that was permanently sustainable.
The click feed rules changed. Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, they changed how they were going to do all their click feeds. And unfortunately, it just train wrecked that business, and our back-end partner laid off 45 people. We were like 95% of their business, just me and Harrison.
Wow.
And so they laid off 45 people, and we just had to rebuild and start over. And I said to Harrison, like, I don't want to keep doing affiliate campaigns. We've been doing it for a decade. I don't care how good we are at it. I want to build something that is sustainable and that creates opportunity for other people so that we can help other people become successful in a really big way.
And this led to his current company, Ringba.
And so we looked around the industry, we saw calls, we saw how messy and complex it was. We knew it was similar to clicks and leads, that, you know, it used to be all manual, but then computers get involved and then it turns programmatic. And we built Ringba, and we actually pushed the entire industry towards that change and created billions of dollars in value for our customers and billions of dollars more for the industry, because now what we've done has become the standard in how everyone operates. So it's created this massive, massive opportunity for all different types of companies, or even kids in their parents' basement. It's really incredible. I didn't predict this outcome. I knew we could build it and I knew we could shift it, but it's crazy to see the progress we've made. And I'm really proud of our team and all the hard work they've done.
And Adam is very vocal about how Ringba empowers and helps people to make money. But in June of 2024, some interesting court documents about their sales director, Sean Hitchcock, painted a very different picture. Hitchcock was also a face of the brand, and in this interview, he spoke about the dark corners of the affiliate space.
Is always changing, evolving, and you know, there's dark corners of this affiliate space. But one thing I will say is, it seems clear that everyone's trying to do the right things, and calls most of the time are a way that affiliate marketers, performance marketers can do very good and legitimate business. It seems like calls, while it seem like an old school way of business, are continuously growing and getting better. It's a higher intent sale.
However, court documents from Rhode Island suggested that Ringba was not being used to do the right thing, and was actually much closer to the dark corners that he spoke about. Ringba had customers engaged in a very common scam known as tech support fraud. Victims received a pop-up telling them they had a virus. They were given a number to call, then paid for tech support that didn't exist. Where things got really interesting is in the next section, where it reads, beginning on a date unknown, but at least as early as in or about August of 2017, and continuing until in or about October of 2021, in the District of Rhode Island and elsewhere, defendant Hitchcock, together with principal number 1, number 2, and company number 1, and others known and unknown to the United States Attorney, knowingly, willfully, and unlawfully combined, conspired, and agreed together and with each other to commit wire fraud. Hitchcock was also accused of trying to recruit fraudsters as customers to Ringba and help fraudsters hide their telephone numbers. He also encouraged them to rotate their telephone numbers and engage in activity that concealed these crimes. But it was important to note that at this stage, these were charges and not convictions. And you could also argue that Ringba merely had a rogue sales director. But only a few months later, Adam was involved in a very interesting lawsuit. In September of 2024, Adam and Ringba were being sued by the TCPA litigator list. This is a list of lawyers who specialize in suing people under the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. In other words, the last people someone from a call center would want to accidentally dial. According to court documents, Adam Young considered developing a service for Ringba in 2019 where its customers would have the numbers of TCPA litigators automatically scrubbed from any calling list. So Young subscribed to the TCPA litigator list and then tried to buy the company with a very low offer of $70,000. When this offer was rejected, Young decided to develop the scrubbing service anyway and created his own list, which took names from the TCPA litigator list. Ultimately, the lawsuit was dismissed because of a discovery violation by the TCPA litigator list. And an article online speaking about both of these lawsuits wrote, while Hitchcock waits for justice, facing up to 20 years in prison, Young and Geverts appear untouched. Both men continue to fly private, host parties, and post about luxury getaways, even as their company sits at the center of an FBI-assisted probe into fraudulent telecommunications practices. The interesting thing is that after these incidents, Adam did not keep a low profile. Instead, he did the exact opposite and further positioned himself as a business guru and an online personality. Prior to these legal issues, Adam Young didn't have much of a social media presence or a digital footprint. And in this interview in 2022, he came across as a very liberal CEO.
One of the things I noticed going to these events over the last year plus, was that I've only seen 2 women at these dinners. And I immediately, when I was asked to host this, I immediately said, you know what, that's not okay. We're not going to keep doing that. Like, I couldn't legitimately call myself good friends with Sarah and Amanda and support Link Unite if I didn't do something about this status quo. And so we're hosting a CEO only dinner at Lead Generation World, and it's 50-50 attended by men and women. And a bunch of people asked me how I was going to find 50% women to come to the dinner. And I just laughed. I was like, well, I'm just going to hit up a bunch of women who are CEOs. There are a ton of them in this space.
Yeah.
I think people are even blind to this, right? Like, get these comments.
In 2024, Adam published his own book, The Paper Call Revolution, and really pushed himself as a thought leader. From then onwards, he did multiple interviews recounting the story of living in his parents' basement and espoused the value of hard work and entrepreneurship, a typical type of story that you see from a figure in the business space like a Patrick Bet-David or many like him.
At the same time, there's more opportunity for anybody to make an unlimited amount of money than there ever was. I have friends that are in their early 20s that are just stacking cash like you wouldn't believe. And they're just really smart kids that don't drink, work their asses off 16 hours a day, grind 7 days a week, don't complain, and just do whatever is necessary to do well.
Adam also started flexing his wealth through sharing some of the private jets he flew on. This was also to promote the private jet company that Harrison was working on.
Our jet business is doing very, very well. We will have a fleet of aircraft soon.
Wow.
Which is insane.
You got your private jet key. Perfect timing.
Yeah, no question.
And I had one for Harrison, too.
Oh, God, Harrison. Just literally like every day, Dad, what about this one, Dad? Like, it's just ridiculous. I'm super proud of him for that, though. He has built that business, and I am helping with certain things now, and we're going to continue to scale it, but it's a super cool business, and so I'm very excited about that.
Alongside the private jets, he was also flexing about the people he surrounded himself with.
You saw me out at a music festival this last weekend, and I was with 8 girls and a customer. And they know that I'm not willing to meet anybody. And so all night people will come up and they won't try and speak with me directly. They'll try and get one of the girls to introduce them or something, or sometimes people know one of the people that's with me, but I have created a boundary where I literally will just say no.
And this combination of women and private planes were used to sell a particular lifestyle. From the outset, Adam looked like he wanted to become the next Dan Bilzerian, and this is years after Dan Bilzerian had released his book, The Setup, who presented himself as a playboy, millionaire, gambler, on-edge guy who you didn't really know where his money came from. Adam Young, meanwhile, explained that all of these young and attractive women that he hung out with were merely his friends.
You go out and you're obviously surrounded by a lot of beautiful women. You know, what's that dynamic like?
Well, they're my friends, and I think I just attract that kind of person because it takes discipline to be in great shape, whether you're male or female. It takes discipline and commitment to take care of yourself, and I do that. And so these people are just generally drawn to and attracted to my energy. Like, I'm completely free, and it allows women to also be completely free and just have an incredible time. Also, they know we're friends and it's never happening and it's not like that. And so it's a really safe space for them. I don't cross any lines or boundaries with my friends. I never will. That's not something I'm interested in doing. I do not spread my energy around at all. I'm highly selective about who I let into my life, even more selective about who I'm going to let into my house.
Absolutely.
And so it's just a really safe space for them. And what they'll do is they'll like curate friends that are high vibe and a lot of fun and high energy. And we go out and have a great time. And none of them overdo it. None of them are trying to be the center of attention. They just really love to have fun.
So Adam was living this curious lifestyle where he likes to go out partying with all of these beautiful women, but wants nothing more than their friendship. Maybe things turn into more than friends with a couple of them. And what really made him a big name on X in particular and helped explain this lifestyle was an article titled "How to Bag a Unicorn." In red pill ideology or terminology, a unicorn is a man's ideal woman that's either extremely rare or doesn't exist, with a multitude of different traits. For a woman, a unicorn could be a very tall individual that is also intelligent, that makes a ton of money, that is loyal, things like Brittany Renner is accused of wanting. But Adam decided to go out and literally find his unicorn, use all of his resources to do so, and document it. On X, Adam wrote, "This is going to offend a ton of people. Perfect. I broke off an engagement in 2025. Most painful year of my life. So I decided to get me one of these girls that supposedly doesn't exist. Dedicated to all the losers out there who think they deserve a goddess tier wife, but haven't washed their sheets since the Obama administration." On this guide, he described his perfect woman as an incredibly beautiful young Asian lover girl who has aligned family values, radiates positivity and optimism, has big dreams and stable emotions, is ambitious, wise beyond her years, cultured, well-traveled, intimate, loves to dance, and is smart enough to launch a rocket, preferably that looks and F's like a corn actress. To find this woman, he tried to build up connections. Further down the thread, he wrote, "In Vegas, the Asian nightlife ecosystem runs through VIP hosts, promoters, bottle girls, and other hospitality crews." And here's where he went into greater detail about his female friends, writing, "I made friends with 20 plus girls, 21 to 25, who are plugged in and not my type, on purpose. I took them to festivals, parties, Vegas, so they actually knew me as a human and would vouch or introduce anytime." This led to him taking on staff for this goal, and he explained, "Getting 15 Gen Z girls to do anything is a full-time job. So I hired an EDM-loving 23-year-old baddie scientist to run my harem's HR department. All the girls love her and feel safe around her. She fields referrals, recruits, vibe checks, and does fitness compliance." He also hired a team of freelancers who would go through women's Instagram profiles and rate them. And after this very thorough and forensic screening process, he finally met his unicorn. Although she has been blurred out in this video, she gradually became a part of his content. And Adam Young, based on this footage, was now a man who had it all that he wanted. Millions of dollars, yachts, private jets, and his perfect unicorn. But beyond all these personal achievements, Adam claimed that he was also putting something positive into the world.
We're not interested in how much money Harrison and Adam make. We're interested in how much money John makes. And that's our mission at Ringba. We're very mission focused and values driven. And those mission and values are all around how we serve our customers and serve the industry.
And while the claim that he wants to make as much money as possible for his customers is certainly true, it's not as benevolent as you might think. On May 25th, the Department of Justice released documents which went through the trail of devastation that Adam Young and Harrison Gervitz had caused. According to the Department of Justice, from the start of 2017 through April of 2022, numerous customers of CA Cloud and the successor corporation were engaged in tech support fraud. Young and Gervitz knew that some of these customers were engaged in tech support fraud, but they did not report this criminal conduct to any judge or other person in civil authority under the laws of the United States, including to any member of law enforcement. And here we see the exact same pattern from the incident with Sean Hitchcock. They didn't just turn a blind eye, they assisted them. According to the DOJ, upon receiving these complaints, while terminating some customers, Young and Gervitz also advised some customers whom they knew to be engaged in tech support fraud of techniques the customers could use to eliminate or greatly reduce the number of complaints they received and not experience any cessation of operation due to complaints. Young and Gervitz also directed their sales associates to deploy these techniques with some tech support fraud customers to reduce the number of complaints and prevent termination of the customer accounts. These techniques included having customers use large pools of telephone numbers on their pop-up ads and having the customers regularly rotate the telephone numbers that appeared on the pop-up ads. As well as rotating phone numbers, they also prevented the fraudsters from using JavaScript on their landing page, which meant that their trade name was no longer visible. And, as well as being accomplices to these Indian call centers, they also had a call center of their own. Towards the end of the document, it reads, Beginning in or about 2016, Young and Geverts owned a call center in Tunisia. From the start of 2016 through April of 2022, some customers and or employees of the call center were engaged in tech support fraud, including fraudulent access of customers' computers via compromised links, remaining on the computers of the victims, posing as official technical support service, and or sending false invoices. And these are not allegations either. Both Adam Young and his business partner have pled guilty to the misprision of a felony, which is when you knowingly conceal a felony. This can result in up to 3 years in prison. Ted Edock, special agent in charge of the FBI's Boston division, said, "What the CEO and CSO of this well-known call tracking and analytics company did was downright despicable. By their own admission, they willfully profited from telemarketing and tech support scammers here and abroad who preyed on the elderly, exploited the vulnerable, and drained victims of their life savings and peace of mind. Behind every fraudulent call was a real person left frightened, humiliated, or financially shattered. Tech support scams cost Americans $2.1 billion last year, and Rhode Islanders reported losing at least $5.7 million. Let this be a warning. If you fuel and support these criminal networks that prey on unsuspecting consumers, the FBI will pursue you relentlessly to ensure you're held accountable for the harm you helped inflict." And these charges pretty much undermine everything he said about hard work or doing the right thing. The reality is that most of the glowing interviews you've seen were bought and paid for.
Whew, I can't believe it. It means a lot. Listen, Adam Young reached out to me, when was it, a year and a half ago? I don't even know, on Instagram DM. So we're doing LFGs, like, Dave, I'd love to sponsor the show.
Hey guys, just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, not just Adam, but Rainbow, of course. If you haven't already, grab your copy of The Paper Call Revolution, which you can find on Amazon now.
You gotta listen to the calls. Like, that's where it all starts. And that's the difference between pay-per-call versus like an affiliate campaign.
But moving forward, it'll be very difficult to whitewash the charges he has pleaded guilty to. Almost everyone knows someone who's fallen victim to a scam or has experienced it themselves. And Adam Young is no longer an inspirational figure, but part of a long line of people selling a false dream. He's yet to be sentenced. His sentencing was supposed to be in June, which no updates have come of that yet. But he is in America, and there tends to be a glossing over of financial crimes like this because you got to get it by any means, right?